We're going to take a look at two different financing plans. So the first financing plan that we're going to look at is more of an aggressive approach. And so what we're trying to do is just figure out how we're going to finance our total assets. So the way that I'm going to break these apart is I'm going to have temporary current assets, and then I'm going to have permanent current assets. So permanent current assets seem a little bit strange because if the definition of an asset is you have it around for less than a year, then how is a permanent current asset current? So the best way to think about those is, let's just pretend we're in a restaurant business and they need to hold on to certain current assets like inventory, so plates, forks, knives. So they'll need those current assets in order to be able to serve their dinner or their lunch on. And so those are the type of permanent current assets that I'm talking about. Okay, and then we have our regular plant and equipment. So that could be our buildings, our machines, our equipment. Okay, so in this hypothetical case, let's just pretend that we have $250,000 in temporary current assets and the same in permanent assets. I spelled that wrong. We'll put a little N in there. And then plant and equipment for $100,000. So in total, this company has $600,000 in total assets. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my short-term interest. And let's pretend that the short-term rate is 6%. And then I'm going to have my long-term interest. And let's pretend that the long-term rate is 10%. So historically, normally short-term interest rates are lower. And so then when we're using this aggressive approach, I'm just going to assume that all of my current assets are financed with short-term debt. And then all of my long-term assets are financed with long-term debt. Okay. So when I add these up, so the 250 and 250 is 500. And then add the 100. So those always have to add up to the 600,000. And the reason why this is aggressive is because most of our assets we're financing with short-term debt. So we're actually going to end up paying less interest. But the problem is that the short-term interest rates are usually volatile. So you'll have to watch out for that because it could be 6% today and then tomorrow it could end up being 15%. And then all of a sudden you may find yourself in trouble. Okay, but we'll just use this assumption for now. So what I need to do is figure out what my interest is on these. So 500,000, and I said short-term interest rate is 6%. So 500 times 6% is 30,000. So that's how much interest you would pay on the short-term assets. And then if we do 100,000 times 10%, that's how much we're going to pay on the long-term assets. Okay, so in total, we're going to pay $40,000 in interest. Now, I just want to put together the bottom part of my income statement just to see how this affects my bottom line. So I'll start with earnings before interest and taxes. And let's just pretend that it's 200,000. And now I'm going to do my interest. And so if we just add those two up, the total interest is 40,000. So I can subtract 40,000 here. And then end up with earnings before tax. And so that's 160,000. And in this scenario, I'm just going to pretend my tax rate is 50%. So that's 50% of the 160. So if I take 160 times by 0.5, that means I'm paying half of that in taxes. And then earnings after tax will be 80,000. Okay, so then we'll take a look at a more conservative approach in the next video.